Today I found an interesting article. Basically, it's about leadership. It's called Leadership 4.0. And one interesting thing I found there was that supposedly in leadership there should be a transition from IQ to the WeQ. Oh, I don't know what to say about that. To be honest, I think it's a good idea to challenge what you know, but at the same time, it's kind of like, what? So like IQ is not important anymore, or what does it mean? And so, as you know, I'm not that smart. Actually, maybe I'm not smart at all. But anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about that. I think it's kind of a good idea because just yesterday I had a very long conversation, a meeting, you could say, with a guy I know. He's also an owner of a language school, just like myself, and he also a one-man band, just like myself. And so I thought maybe we could partner up and make our lives easier. And so we talked about that. And one of those things is we talked about doing events together in English. So basically, in Japan, many kids, he teaches kids, I teach kids. So we thought, okay, let's try with kids. And so I asked him so many questions. And as I was asking these questions, I was thinking like, why do I need this much information? And what I found out is that actually I am able to collect a lot of information at the same time, and then somehow inside of my mind I would come up with a solution that would satisfy all of the conditions that were input into my brain, basically. And I believe that this skill, this ability, was probably one of the most helpful in my work when I was a managing teacher, or teacher's manager, let's call it that. At my previous place of work, there it was kind of the same story. I'm like, okay, everybody, what is our goal? And so it seems that nobody else could do that. Like, this is the funny part, because it would be like a meeting with many people, and I'm the only one who is able to do that. So maybe because of this skill, I was able to get promoted, and maybe if you have this skill, you will be promoted as well. So what is this skill and how to do that? It's basically thinking about we. So you see there is the IQ and WeQ, and as much as I don't like this approach of just changing words and like trying to sound original, I do believe that this is exactly the essence of, well, leadership, maybe not the leadership, but at least good management, in that sense that you need to find the solutions that would be beneficial to all what's called stakeholders. So for example, in your family, everybody is deciding where to go. And you're saying, okay, I want to go there. Another person says, I want to go that way. And somebody says another way. And then it's like everybody wants to go to a different place. So then, if you were a good manager, you could say a good leader as well, you would find why people want to go to those places. And then you would say, okay, so what exactly do you want? What is your goal? What is your goal? What is your goal to different people? And then they would say, okay, I want to have something active. I want to go outside and I want to eat sausages. Let's imagine that, right? And so then you're like, well, that sounds like an amusement park, you know? You can do something active, you can have hot dogs, whatever. So my point is, the WeQ, the thinking about everybody involved, is, I believe, one of these skills when, actually, to be honest, I think it's quite rare. I've worked with and interviewed many people, and it's not that often when you find a person who is like, okay, everybody, what do you want? Like, let's find a solution that's good for everybody. And especially the person who could, promote or sell, so to speak, their solution. Let's say the management wants this, the customers want that, the staff want something else, and so everybody kind of wants their own thing. And so if you leave it like that, then people will not be able to come to a common solution. But then if you find out why they want those things, then you have a chance of finding a solution that would, well, maybe not satisfy everybody, but at least satisfy everybody mostly. And so that's what I was strong at. But here's the thing. I believe that this skill, and this is actually the main point of what I wanted to talk to you about, is that this skill requires you to have very good control over your emotions. So yes, the creativity, and actually this article also says that you need to be creative and open to change, which honestly is kind of it's possible to do, but it's illegal. What do I mean by that? I mean that there is a psychological trait of openness. This is one of the big 4 psychological traits. They are proven, they are measurable. This is the science of human brain, okay? So it's not just like an opinion of some guy, it's current understanding of how human personality works, okay? And so what it turns out that you can permanently raise openness by, can you guess doing what? Like, if you can, like, I would like you to stop this video and comment in the below section about what you think that could be, and I will give you like 5 seconds. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and the answer is taking LSD. So if you take LSD, apparently you can increase your openness, psychological trait of openness, and you can keep it higher than it was before. But who's gonna do that? Nobody. So this is a very kind of tricky point that, yes, you can do it, yes, you should do this, and it's illegal to do it. Go figure. But anyway, so when you want to develop this WeQ, okay, the intelligence, I guess, of thinking for the group of people, what you need to do is you need to basically build stronger emotional control, okay? You need to get your feelings under control, okay? So as we've mentioned many times on this podcast, true freedom is the freedom to do what you've decided to do, right? It's not what you feel like doing, right? Because your feelings and desires can be easily manipulated. Your physiological state can be easily manipulated. You get some sugar, you feel fun, you feel pleasure. You are hungry, you feel angry, and whatever, right? So those things are not reliable. That's not freedom, right? You can, like, a dog will do anything you ask it to do for a treat. Is that freedom? Probably not, right? So now let's talk about how to deal with your feelings and emotions, okay? Because whenever you are presenting your ideas, for example, there is a chance that you will be rejected, that your ideas will not be accepted, or somebody will critique them, or I don't know. So basically there are many situations in life when you need to control your emotions and at least maybe not even control, but know how to deal with them. Okay? For example, when my son had cancer, what do you think? Like, did I cry all day? Was I like, non-functioning? No. I was, and actually many other parents too. When they face these kinds of situations, they have this. I think adults are good at that we can suppress our emotions, and then we deal with things, and then later we process the emotions. So how to process the emotions, and so whatever I'm going to show you now, how to deal with emotions easier, and this process will make it easier for you to then process your emotions, even if you are dealing with them by suppressing them. Okay? So, number one, we need to identify the emotions that we feel. Okay? Because if you don't identify them, if you don't understand what you're feeling, then you don't know what you're even working with, right? So sometimes you feel something for no reason, or at least you don't know a reason, right? And so then you're like, oh, okay, well, why do I feel that? And I don't know. And that's it. So you can't deal with it. So now let me tell you what are different categories of emotions are. There will be positive, negative, and neutral. Okay? 3 categories. And then you will understand that there are actually many emotions. You thought maybe like happiness, sadness, and boredom, but no, there are many more. So let's start. Positive emotions include joy, happiness, gratitude, love, excitement, contentment, satisfaction, pride, amusement, and hope. Okay? Now let's move on to the negative emotions. Sadness, anger, fear, disgust, guilt, shame, embarrassment, envy, frustration, anxiety, yeah. And so as you can see, there are many, and they are all different. And maybe there are more, but these are the main ones. Okay? And the last category would be neutral emotions. So not positive, not negative. Number 1, boredom, calmness, indifference, serenity, patience, tiredness, relaxation, composure, acceptance, and curiosity. So here's the thing. When you learn to identify these emotions, then you can easier deal with it. Okay? So how to, for example, when you feel that something is not right, I think this is the critical point, how to identify or how to start catching these emotions. You are living your life, you're like, yeah, everything is okay, everything, and then suddenly you feel, wait a second, something is not right. Something feels off. And that is the time when you need to stop whatever you're doing, if it's possible, and focus on that feeling. Because quite often, when something is not right, this is the sign of mismatch between how you feel and your situation. So it's either, well, usually it's produced within you, right? So the situation doesn't change. But then, if it's happening in the moment, so it's either your gut or your subconscious mind is trying to tell you something about this situation. In my case, especially before, I used to have these kind of uncontrolled associations. So for example, I just go on about my day as usual, and then I suddenly feel sad, for example, or I suddenly feel, elated, excited for no apparent reason. And later I found out that it's because probably something to do with my ADHD. So I see some part of the world, and that reminds me of something else, and then that something else then, reminds me and makes me feel a certain way. Okay? And so this is the first step of dealing with your emotions. Okay? First is to identify. And so when you feel, oh wait, something is not right, I'm not supposed to feel angry, but I am angry, right? Then you like stop and think about it. Okay? Or, oh no, I feel something weird. And then you stop and think, what am I feeling? Then maybe you're feeling tiredness, or maybe you're feeling envy. It's possible. It's nothing wrong with it. But here's the thing. If you can't control these emotions, if you can't deal with them, then other people will. Believe me. And not only that, you will be easily disrupted. I used to do that. So for example, I'm walking on the street and I see a car that I would like to drive. Yeah? And I feel, nice car. I want a car like that. I wish I had a car like that. Oh, that guy is driving the car. I envy him. But I don't realize it. And so all of this is happening inside, somewhere deep inside of my mind. And then I'm walking, and I'm feeling envy. And so I'm feeling maybe angry as well because I can't get it or something like that. And so I'm just walking. I'm like, I'm angry. Why? And so if you don't even ask yourself why, then you go to the next person, you go, like, the whole day could actually be influenced by this emotion, right? Especially, let's say it's in the morning. Then you're like, you go to work, somebody tells you something and you're like, nah, shut up, I don't care, or whatever. Because you are now you didn't deal with that emotion, so it's with you. And now your whole life is kind of painted by that emotion. Okay? So now I'm gonna show you one technique how to process these emotions. Okay? So imagine you understand. Like in my case, I understood, okay, I was angry about the car. Okay. So this framework is called ABCD approach. Okay? It's coming from cognitive behavior therapy, CBT. And it helps you better understand and challenge your negative thoughts and feelings. So, ABCD. A stands for activating event. B is for belief. C for consequence. And D is for dispute. Okay? So, activating event. So, imagine I'm walking. I feel envy or angry, and then I'm like, why? Then I'm finding out that was me seeing that cool car. Well, in my case, it probably would be a van, but anyway, let's imagine a car, okay? Then, belief. What is that thought, negative thought or belief that arises in response to the activating event? And usually you would already know it. So in my case, let's say envy, okay? Or maybe it goes past the envy. It's like, I'm angry at myself that I can't buy it, or something, or I don't know how to get it, okay? Because a short side step, okay? I found out that some people in Japan own super expensive cars for 3 years, and then they get rid of them. And how they do that is by buying them. And so you have to be registered as, it's called Kojin Jigyo Nushi. It means basically, what's the name? Individual entrepreneur, something like that. So in Japan, you can just say, I am this one-person business kind of thing. I do this business, that's it. And so here's the thing. Due to this taxation system in Japan, you can depreciate the asset. Let's say in this case a car. You can say, okay, this car will last me 3 years. And so basically you're cutting down your profits from your business. You're saying, okay, no, I got this car, it was, I don't know, $100,000. I'm gonna use it for 3 years. and for each year I'm gonna deduct $33,000 of its value, right? And so imagine if you are making 50,000 originally, then I guess 50 is not good. So instead of buying the freaking car, right? Because then you have to pay taxes anyway. But then you say, no, I bought it and I'm gonna use it for business, and I'm gonna put the depreciation, and then it turns out that basically you don't make much money, but every three years you can not buy, but you can get a new, I don't know, Ferrari or Porsche or whatever. So anyway, and this is what I found out recently. And before I thought, oh my God, how do they make so much money like in Yokohama here, where I work, you can stand in front of my window at my school and watch the road, and you will see, I don't know, a Porsche every 10 minutes at least. And so, yeah, I think more. Now I said it, I'm thinking probably more actually. Anyway, so that's my point. And I was always thinking, like, oh my God, how do they make so much money? And why everybody seems to make so much money? Well, as I just told you, it doesn't mean that you have to make so much money to buy the freaking car. Anyway, so now going back to the belief, yes? B. So a B, belief or a thought, right? So now we know the activating event. Now we know the emotion. Let's say I'm angry because I don't know how to get a car, or I envy because I don't know how to get a car. Okay. Now we need to think about the consequences. Okay. What does it mean? You think about how you will suffer from feeling that way. And so this is what I just told you, that you think, okay, if I feel angry, then I will be angry when I talk to other people, and then the people will stop liking me. And so maybe, let's say, when I talk to my customers, they will not like me today, for example, and it means maybe I might even lose some customers in the future. And so I will lose money, and it's actually kind of working against me ever getting a car like this. Understand? So you need to think about the negative consequences of this pattern of keeping this way of thinking. Okay, and the last step is the dispute. So we're done activating event, we understand, believe, what we feel. Consequence is what's gonna happen if we don't change. And D is the how to challenge this belief. Okay, and so in this case we need to ask yourself several questions. For example, is this belief based on facts or assumptions? So for example, as I mentioned, okay, I look at this car and I think, oh, he must be so rich and that he bought the car. Okay, and oh, I can't buy the car, or something like that. Yeah. And so is this a fact that he bought the car? No. Maybe he rented it. I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe it's a company car. Maybe he knows a way how to get the car without paying, or how to, let's say, as I told you, make it tax deductible so that you don't have to actually spend money after taxes, for example. You don't have to save money. You don't have to worry about that. You just go to, I don't know, Porsche dealership, go to your bank, say, hey bank, I am an entrepreneur and I make this much money, and I would like to get this car, and I'm gonna depreciate it in 3 years. Can I please have a loan? The bank will be, sure, why not? You will sell it later, right? Yes. Okay. Done. Maybe it's a one-day work, right? So my point is this a fact or an assumption? And so then you're like, well, I guess it's my assumption that he bought it. And I guess the problem is not that he makes so much money, but the fact that he knows something and I don't know something, okay? And then you're like, oh, okay, so this is the problem. Now you can start solving it. Now you can think and research and learn, okay? Next, what evidence do I have that supports or contradicts this belief? So again, going back, as I just showed you, like I have the evidence that there is a way to depreciate a car. So now I know that this information contradicts the belief that they just bought a car. Okay? Next, what would be a more balanced or realistic belief about this? Okay, so like I told you that, you need to know how to. Honestly, I don't know. Like in your case, it could be different things, right? But in my case, let's say with a car, it would be, okay, as I told you, that maybe there are ways to get a good car without actually having to buy it. Okay? Or balanced realistic belief about this would be, do I actually want a car like that? And so in my case, probably not. Because I don't, like, if you give me a Porsche tomorrow, right? I'm like, well, what am I gonna do with it? I don't know what to do with it. Really. Like, I have my bike, which is probably more fun than a Porsche. It's not as, I guess it's not as cool as a Porsche, but I don't know. Like, if a Porsche and my bike cost the same, I would choose my bike. That's my point. Okay? So that would be my more balanced, realistic belief, or also not just belief, but a way of thinking. Okay? And what the last question, that how to challenge your belief, is what are some positive outcomes that could result from thinking differently about this situation? So like in my case, I see an expensive car. What would be, so if I think better, right? What would be the positive outcomes of thinking more realistically, right? Let's say if I say, okay, I actually prefer my bike. And so I look at the Porsche and I'm like, you know what? I appreciate the engineering. I like this car, but actually I don't want it. And so the positive outcome from that would be that I don't get frustrated, I don't get envious, I don't get angry. And so my days are peaceful and happy. Isn't that nice? Okay? So this is a way of dealing with your emotions. And this is just one example. Okay? Now, I will give you a bonus. Okay? You can also challenge your beliefs by thinking about the opposite. Now, what do I mean by that? So, let's say we identified that we think, okay, he bought a car, right? So then the opposite of that can be, he didn't buy the car, but he drives the car. Interesting. And so then you're like, wait, yeah, what if he didn't actually buy the car? So what I'm envious about is not true, or it could be not true. It's possible that it's not true, right? If it's the opposite. And so then you immediately challenge yourself to find a way how whatever you're thinking could be the opposite. Okay? Let's say a car cuts you off. Again, we are talking about cars. But okay, let's imagine you're in a meeting, okay? You're discussing some project, you have this idea, and then somebody says, no, this idea is terrible. And then you're like, oh, you want to like swear and shout and scream, but you're like, okay. And then whatever you feel, let's say you feel angry, right? And then you ask yourself, well, why do I feel angry? What is my belief or my idea that makes me angry, right? Because it's possible that you will not feel angry, right? So then you're thinking, okay, I believe this person is just trying to to get promoted ahead of me. Okay? Let's just imagine. And then you challenge, well, then you think, what is the opposite of that? And then you're thinking, this person is not trying to get, or this person is trying to be demoted, or some other variation of the opposite of that. Or this person is trying to be promoted ahead of somebody else, right? And so then you're starting to think about wider picture. And then you're like, no, actually, yeah, maybe it's not all that black and white. Maybe it's a bit different, okay? And so then that's how you basically deal with almost any emotion. So be careful, though. This is only about emotions. It's not about real facts. You can't challenge facts, right? So if somebody says, I don't know, let's say police stops you and says you went on the red light. You can't just say, no, what if I didn't? that doesn't work, right? Let's say they have proof or whatever. You can dispute it in court, of course, but I don't know, what's the point, right? So like, there is no point in disputing facts, okay? And that's why one of these steps is actually, is it a fact? So yeah, this is my message for today, how to deal with your emotions. When you can deal with your emotions, you become more effective, and I believe you become more free. You get more freedom by being in control of your emotions and not letting your emotions control you. Because other people who control their emotions, they can also control your emotions. And so you become free from those people. And I will see you next time.